children, I got a haircut. I did, in fact, get a haircut, so I look a little ridiculous. I don't like the haircut. I'm probably going to shave off what's on top of my head as well, because I feel like that's the part that makes me look a little silly. But we are con crunching. You motherfucker. Forrest is currently laying on the fursuit parts, as he's decided that's what he deserves to be. Not a whole lot has happened since the last time I streamed any fursuit making, and that's because it was fursuit making. I've gotten a few of the bodysuit pieces sewn together, but we've run into the issue of I can't sew certain pieces together until other pieces are sewn together. And I can't sew those pieces together because they're the thigh pieces, but they have to be sewn to the crotch pieces, and I can't sew in the crotch pieces until I shave them. And I can't shave them because I'm still waiting for the clipper blades to come back from when I mailed them out. They're on the way, but they're coming from California, so it's going to take them a bit to get through the snow. But once when they do get here, we'll do that, and then we'll be able to whip out the bodysuit. It'll be dope. Which means I'm kind of at an impasse, because there's not a whole lot else I can do. So in the meantime, I've decided that I didn't like the tails. The tails themselves look fine. Hi, Jay! The tails themselves look fine, but I didn't like the silicone cores for this tail shape because it just really doesn't work. And the bases were too large for the design I ended up doing for the tail holes in the bodysuits. So they showed quite a bit on the bodysuits, which I also did not like. But I was also lazy and decided not to, put a proper opening for that style of tail hole in the first place, which is my own fault. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to tear out the gore patches for the old bases and put in my normal style gore patches, so we can just put a belt through the tail and call it good. They won't be hypermotion, but they'll still be cute. Which does mean I have to pop all these seams and kind of start over just in general, honestly, with this spot. Can I help you? Good lord. I don't know if you've noticed, but somebody is nosy. He's just standing there, menacingly. I don't know what he wants. They were just outside not that long ago, like 20 minutes ago, tops. But he's a needy baby who constantly needs attention. All the time. Always. But yeah, so we're going to do that. We're going to replace this gore patch, which hopefully shouldn't take me too long. And then we're going to install a pocket in the first bodysuit. The one we started off with, not the design that's currently on screen. Because that bodysuit's done, and I would really like if it had a pocket so I could put my phone in it, or my wallet, all of the necessary stuff, because usually I carry a bag or something around with me if I need to bring stuff with. But for these characters, I feel like bringing a bag would kind of break the illusion of the characters just a bit. And I don't have anywhere else to put stuff. So we're gonna put a pocket in. We're gonna put in a big ass pocket, actually. This is 8 by 10 is this pocket. So, I could fit my whole noggin in here if I tried really hard. So that should definitely fit my phone and my wallet and my keys and pinking shears and thread and a hot glue gun probably. Like, maybe even a brush. I don't plan on putting that much in there when I'm suiting. But, my phone, my wallet, possibly the scissors and some thread in case there's an emergency fix that's needed. Probably not a brush, though. Like, I don't think a brush is necessary if I'm out and about running around. But definitely, phone, wallet, keys, that sort of stuff. The important things in life. I need to be able to get into my car, and I need to be able to buy food, and I need to be able to text my mommy when I need a ride. She can't pick me up. There's so many states away. But, she would. It would just take her many, many hours to get here. Oh, come on. Somebody stitched this shit too well. Now it's a pain in the ass to take out. Which I guess is a good thing, but it's a pain in my ass. I realized I don't care if this tears because it's not going to be used again anyway. It's garbage now. Shh, we don't need to talk about that I'm the one that stitched. Don't let my boss hear you. She'll get pissed. I will get fired. What is happening right here? What are you? Hello? Okay. What's like random ass stringies? And of course, even though I got the gore patch off, there's all these side stitching I did to try and curl the fur over so that it wouldn't show the raw edging. And, you know, to keep the raw edges nice, since they would fray over time just a little bit. And get a little scrunkly, which nobody wants. It is knit backing after all. If there's one thing I know about knitting, you drop a single loop, you drop all the loops eventually. Come on. It doesn't fray as much as like a woven backing would, but it is definitely still an issue that you have to worry about at least a little bit. That's why you'll get, I know a lot of people will leave a raw seam. I do, over where the zipper is on the body, because, well, it's a very hard spot to line, and also keep a hidden zipper on if you shave it short. Or even if you don't, it's just a hard spot to line and also keep it as a hidden zipper, which you really can't do without leaving the top of the fabric flat, which means the best you can do is try to get as close as you can to that edge, because as soon as you curl it, God, the fur fabric is so thick that it would leave a seam that was very noticeable at any given time, just because of how thick that spot is. So that's why oftentimes by zippers you usually have raw edges on fur, because that's the easiest way to hide a seam. But that's also why when you brush it, you'll occasionally get little squiggles or loops of the harder acrylic that is in the fabric itself. Because it is technically slightly unravelable. But because most of the time you're not exactly going down a row, you're going more slightly off angle, it's only going to unravel so far before it gets caught by the other stitches. But then those stitches might unravel if they have a chance. So, but it's not like loosey-goosey cotton, where if you leave it, it's going to fray after a few washes, or even a dozen washes. And then, poof, no more fursuit. Like, it doesn't fray indefinitely, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't. I just say things, and they don't necessarily come out in ways that make sense either, so. You know, we're vibing. But I have been first off, I've been severely procrastinating. I have not had the motivation to work on these much this last week. And my dumbass was like, oh, well, I can't sew the inner thigh, so I can't sew the front panel, so I can't sew the side panel, so I can't connect it to the shoulders. Guess I can't sew anything. And then I remembered, it's a full suit. It has legs. So, that was yesterday, after like 5 days of not working on it at all. And that's when I realized that, and I stitched the legs together, and then I was like, oh wait, but I could still stitch the actual arm sleeve part, I just can't stitch it to the shoulder. Because that's my big issue. I can't do the shoulders right now because I can't do the torso because there's a triangle. I can't do the triangle until the legs are sewn on, but I can't sew the legs on until the inner thigh is shaved and sewn on. And I can't shave it until the clipper blades come back. So that's the whole that. So pretty much anything waist up can't really be done. But I was able to get the sleeves down the arm stitched. And now they're ready to just be slapped right on in until we get the frickin' torso done. I don't think I can sew the legs together. Like, I have the halves put together, but because of how I want to stitch them, it's honestly easier to stitch the torso with the inner part of the legs first, and finish off the torso, and then stitch the rest of the legs on and together from there. Because otherwise, then I have to stitch an entire, like, set of legs onto a sheet that, like, a strip of fur that's like this. For no reason. It's just a bunch of bulk for when I need to do 16 other pieces on it. Like, it'll just be easier to leave them separate for now and then stitch them together again later. But, it's been stressful. So I've been very much procrastinating on these suits, which I don't want to do, but, you know, burnout is burnout, so. Now we get to panic, because now it is suspiciously close to con time. It's pretty much 2 weeks to con. It doesn't feel like 2 weeks to... Okay, I just had to make sure I didn't pop that seam on accident. It doesn't feel like 2 weeks to con, but oh my god, it's 2 weeks to con. So we're only panicking a lot of it. It's fine. I don't think there's anything else I need to do, other than get the bodysuit done and then cleaning up the feet paws. Which, shaving and cleaning up the feet paws should take all of, like, a minute. Wait a minute! I gotta check something. I ordered. So, this is part of the, it's a personal suit, so I'm gonna try a bunch of new shit, because it doesn't matter if it fucks up later, right? This is part of that. I saw someone on TikTok, I don't remember the fursuit maker, unfortunately, but they do, for their feet, they do a thin rubber sole. It's not EVA, it's actually rubber, that they were stitching through, like, to put Velcro on the backside so they could do these swappable indoor-outdoor feet with rubber outdoor soles. And I was like, holy shit, hold on, you're putting ideas in my nog. Hold your horses there. Now, I do not trust my sewing machine any way, shape, or form to go even through the thinnest of rubbers without absolutely annihilating even the thickest of needles, because my machine is not a heavy needle machine. But, what if, right? What if I use the EVA I normally use, because that's also the main base for my foot, and I would like them to be comfortable to be walked in. I don't do the removable indoor-outdoors. I'm not going to, because it's very difficult to get those to look nice. Right? Like, because there's the raw bottoms, you have to have a little bit of an overlap of fur, but because it's loosey-goosey, it doesn't necessarily sit nicely over the indoor or the outdoor bottoms that you Velcro on. So it's very hard to get those to look good, especially on the suits with longer fur piles. And I like to shave the bottoms of my feet, like the bottoms of the whatever, so that way there isn't excess fur. Which is why I'm waiting on the clipper blades. But I ordered some rubber to put on the bottom of my feet, and I don't know how well this is going to work, because my plan is, so first off, it is extremely difficult to get rubber in large sheets or rolls that doesn't cost like $100. It is so fucking expensive. Like, I was looking at this one company, even their cheap stuff, that was like $30 for I want to say it was like 18 by 72 inch sheet, right? It was like $30 for that, and it was like 2 millimeters, so I'd still have to put it on the bottom of EVA in order for it to be comfortable to walk in without built-in shoes. But then shipping cost more than shipping was $60 per piece. So even if I ordered 10 of them, so then it's $300 of rubber, I was still paying another $600 in shipping alone, which is insane. I feel like that's not calculated right, but you know. So it's very hard to find large size pieces that can actually be big enough to make, for my feet paws anyway, because they are like 18 inches long, and then like a good 10 inches wide. I have very long feetsies. But because that's they're adjustable, meant to fit multiple shoe sizes. So, instead I thought, well, what if I get the rubber, but I glue on beans, right? Hi, Spade, by the way, I see you there. I do see you in chat. But I'm just big braining. So yeah, so like I would do the normal rubber base, the EVA bases, right, with the grip, with the normal grip. Problem is I've noticed in snow or wet surfaces, it is still very slippery on the EVA, right? Are you good? Bingus is dying. Bingus is choking on her spit. She's gonna die. You good, Bingle? Cool. Weather's been awful lately. We're all stuffy and drainy and everything at once. It's stupid. So if I could cut out just the beans, right, the paw pads out of the rubber, and I want to see if there's a good way for me to adhere that to the bottoms of the EVA. Now, my big concern with that is, first off, I think it would give great traction on things like snow and wet surfaces, especially compared to the EVA, because it is actual shoe sole rubber. The problem is because it's just going to be essentially glued onto the bottom of the EVA, I don't know how durable it's going to be. I don't know how well it's going to stay over time, if it's going to last a couple wears, if it's going to last for a couple years, you know? Like, I need this shit to be durable. So I'm going to try testing it on my suits for when I go skedaddling around at cons and places and do at least a few wears with them and see how well they hold up. And if they hold up well, it might be something that I offer in addition as an extra for my suits. Because I think it'd be a cute little detail, but also I like traction, as it turns out, because I have 0 in the snow right now, and that is awful. Because for those who don't know, I am in Michigan, and snow is everywhere all the time. Sometimes ice, which, I mean, there's not too much you can do about ice. If ice is going to make you slip, ice is going to make you slip, but we hate ice. It's awful. But snow is also awful. And, you know, I like being able to walk in the snow without being, like, in my suit the entire time. So, oh yeah, I was looking at that, though, because I ordered it weeks ago. Problem is it is being shipped in from China. So, it's cutting it very close. It wasn't supposed to be delivered until soonish. Do we have tracking updates? It's in the US. It has reached the US. That is all of the information I have on it. And it passed through customs. So hopefully it'll all get here before. So here's the thing: is I want to use E6000 to adhere because E6000 is a nice flexible super glue. Problem is E6000 takes 3 days to cure. So if I want it in time for the con, I have to have at least 3 days prior for it to get here, so I can glue it to the bottoms of the beads, for it to have enough cure time to actually be cured in time for the con, and be sturdy enough to actually wear. It could be in a shipping container, you're absolutely right. It did say it got to the carrier facility, though, which suggests that it's at a UPS or FedEx or fucking DHL, whoever the hell they sent it through, at one of their major distribution centers. So hopefully it'll get here. Problem is, we've had a lot of snow and a lot of weather lately. There's just been so much weather happening. So the salt destroyed my favorite pair of boots this year. No! See, that's my big concern with feet paws. It's like, I mean, granted, I wash my feet like crazy, especially in the winter, you know? Like, they get so muddy, slushy, gross. I still need to wash Patch's feet from the tree farm, though. They got a little dirty when Noah and I went out and about. So we're gonna have to... I keep forgetting, and I should have done that while I was procrastinating, but I've been procrastinating, so there's so much stuff I need to do. Adulting is hard, guys. Just because I have to do the thing, right, in the first place, which is difficult. But then also I have to remember to do it in the first... This is fine. Hold on, I'm gonna tie this off real quick because I meant to pin. But hopefully, I doubt it, but hopefully it gets here in time for the con, so I can have, experience running around in these particular suits at a con for an entire weekend, because that is a lot of wear and tear on a suit. Especially if they do end up doing the parade, which I hope they do. It'd be very sad if they didn't, but I don't know how they go about it, considering I'd imagine they'd have to keep it to a single floor just for accessibility reasons, because not everybody can go down an escalator or a flight of stairs. So they'd have to keep it on a single floor of the convention center, or outside the convention center if they're able to. Which I don't know that everybody's going to want to because it's fucking February. It's a little chilly. But, we'll see. We'll see what they end up coming up with. So I will be very, very sad and disappointed if they can't do the fursuit parade. But I also understand that it's a logistical fucking nightmare to do a fursuit parade. Especially with how big cons in general are getting. And especially with the location itself, like, the fact that we can't wear our fursuits. This is something, for those of you who don't know, they released the con maps for MCFC yesterday. And I found it very interesting that on the floor levels, they had to specify which floors you could and could not suit on. Which, I've never been to the Renaissance Center, but I was told that the bottom 2 floors are generally business offices. So I guess that makes sense. That might also be why other cons that used to be in the Renaissance Center have since moved to the Kobo Center. But the issue is like on the first floor, 90% of the first floor, you are not allowed to have a fursuit head on. Period. Same thing for the second floor. Most of the second floor, you are not allowed to have a fursuit head on. So I imagine that's convention policy, not the con, but like the venue. I imagine that's the venue's policy, because obviously. But I found that very, very interesting. That 2 of their 5 floors you're not allowed to suit on for the most part. I imagine it's for security purposes. Because why else? But yeah, that is weird. YumaCon is at the Kobo Center. It's called the Huntington Place now, but it used to be called the Kobo Center. So I imagine that's why because I was told, I've never been to YumaCon, I was at both, but I was told it used to be big enough that it spanned both the Renaissance and the Kobo Center. Which suggests to me that that's why they switched to solely the Huntington Place, is because the Ren Center likely changed their rules coming back from COVID and all that, and whatever reasons have decided that you're not allowed to wear any sort of masks, and most cosplays do in fact have masks. And it's just, I feel like for a con that large, it would be very hard to enforce that properly, seeing as it was originally spanning multiple buildings. But even then, I feel like anime con numbers have dropped significantly in the last, 5-10 years. Like, since 2015, it's kind of like it peaked around 2015, 2018 is kind of a little bit for anime cons. But I'm not an anime con expert. That's just my general observation from the few that I've been to. Which is interesting. I know there's ads. Might have grown up near Detroit, still don't know place names there. Are you good, babe? She's just sitting here coughing in the most casual way possible. Bingle, are you good? Are you good, baby? Huffing and puffing. Do you got the allergies? Yeah. Yeah, are you good? Okay. You drooled on me a little. Thanks, babe. Yuck. But are you good? You good girl? Yeah, you're good too. Kiss. There you go. Can I kiss you? No, I can't kiss you? Come here, I want to kiss you. He's traumatized now. He doesn't let me kiss him anymore because I gave him raspberries once. And now he thinks all kisses are raspberries, and he does not like raspberries. Come here, I just want to kiss you. Peace? I promise it'll just be a kiss. Go for a cuddle? Yeah. Oh, big stretch. Hello. Cuddles. Can I kiss you? Can I give you a kiss? Peace? I want to love on you. No, come here. I promise. Just a kiss. There you go. See? Just a kiss. Yeah. Just a kiss. Because I love you. Bitch, are you good? Are you dying or not? Do I need to smack the cough out of you? She's just laying here I can't breathe. Wagging her tail. Good Lord, are you good? Are you good? Do you need to get up? Okay. We definitely have some seasonal allergies, so she's just over here huffing and puffing and doing nothing about it. Good Lord. See, I am not in the Detroit area, but I have vended at YumaCon this last year. So that is my main experience with the Detroit area. Other than that, the airport. I've been through the airport a few times. When I was younger, so God knows I didn't know where the fuck I was, because I didn't drive at the time. I didn't have to pay attention to where I was until I started driving, you know? It didn't matter before then. I wasn't the one worrying about getting from place to place. I was just along for the ride. Literally. But don't look at me like that if I can't give you kisses. If I can't give you kisses, you can't look at me like that. He's just staring at me. But yeah, so I did find that really interesting, which suggests to me that if they do a parade, it would not be on the first floor, or the second floor, solely because they're not allowed to have fursuit heads in most of the areas of those floors, which is unfortunate. But also, like, it makes me wonder how the hell they got the con to let them do this, the venue to let them be a con here in the first place, you know? Like, oh yeah, we have a con that's based around costuming, and, you know, like, anthropomorphic characters, and majority of our people wear costumes that completely cover their faces while they run around this con. Oh yeah, cool, but you can't do it on any of the 2 main floors to get into the building. Which, like, I understand they don't want people coming in and, you know, wreaking havoc in their masks, because that's a safety issue. But, like, I wonder how they convinced them of it at all. You know? It's interesting to me. I hope they do a fursuit parade, though. Because I would like to be in the fursuit parade again this year, especially with the new big boy suits. Assuming they get done in time. I'm excited to see what's in the dealer's den. Hopefully they got some new stuff this year, because the last couple years, it's been mostly the same vendors. And we all know what happened with Tail Company last year. That was fucking bullshit. Hopefully something like that doesn't happen again. That's not against the con. I like how the con handled Tail Company doing the bullshit they were doing in the dealer's den. But it is very much an issue with the Tail Company and the fact that they showed up without any product and just a QR code coupon on tables, and that was their idea of vending. Like, that was some bullshit, you know? That was just very annoying to me personally, as someone who does vend and has to apply to multiple conventions to get. I think this last year I applied to 8 different conventions throughout the year, because I am very limited in what I can apply to, and mostly based on location and time of year and, you know, what I have in stock. And I only got to vend at one convention, and that was YumaCon, which is not a furry con. YumaCon was the only anime con I applied to this year. The rest were all fur cons, and the only con I got into was an anime con that I proceeded to lose money selling at, actually, because it cost me more to be there than I made. Which is unfortunate, but, you know, a good experience all the same. Definitely an experience. I met a lot of really cool people while I was there. Lots of chill attendees. The booths next to us were super chill, too. Had a lot of fun chatting with them. But it was very unfortunate that we couldn't even break even over the entire weekend. That was just a really bad luck, I feel like, on my part. But, yeah, no, for... Right, yeah, exactly, like... I met a lot of new people at the con, which was dope. And I had a lot of fun talking with people and stuff like that, you know. And there was a lot of people, too, that I met, or, like, I knew, even if I did, whether or not I knew that. There was a lot of people that showed up at my booth, and we would be talking, like, oh, yeah, MCFC's coming up, and they're in the Renaissance Center. Oh, I didn't know they moved. oh, well, shit, did you know that it's in February this year? And they'd be like, no, I didn't know they changed the date. Because normally it's in March, but the venue would not give them the normal March dates this year, unfortunately. So they might change it back next year. They might keep it in February. Kind of hoping they change it back to March, because February is very inconvenient time for a con, I feel like. Like, at least for my schedule. I don't know about everybody else's schedule, but God, between taxes and the new year and... Whew. Plus it was on Valentine's Day weekend, which I feel like was just not great for a lot of people. Because I know plenty of people who... Like, for example, me and my fiance, I'm a furry, he is not. Lucky us, he is very excited to be going to his first FurCon. At least fursuits are warm, yes. It does not help that it is in Michigan in February. There's just a lot of bad reasons for it to be in February of all months. For this con in particular. But you know, it is what it is. So we're working with what we got. But there was a lot of people that did not know when they came to my booth. I was like, oh yeah, like, definitely look at their website and make sure, like, they opened registration already. Like, for the love of God, get your early bird, please. Like, if you're gonna be there, get your early bird. You might as well, you know? Like, hotel blocks open soon. Like, it was a whole thing. And there were so many people that weren't aware that it was, first off, moved to a new location, and second off, a month earlier than it normally is. So that gave me a really good chance to let people know, which is nice. Because I would hate for people to realize now that, hey, it's 2 weeks away, and you haven't bought reg, and you don't have your hotel, and nothing's planned. Like, that would be awful to find out now, last minute, you know? So I did have fun, for the most part. I did not enjoy the 2-hour drive at 6 a.m. to Detroit, and then the 2-hour drive at 8 p.m. back home. So I was getting home at 10 and going to bed late, and then getting up early and coming back down for 4 days in a row. That was miserable, but it was cheaper than getting a hotel down there, because they wanted $1,300 for the weekend at any of the nearby hotels. They are not cheap in Detroit, I can tell you that right now. Very glad that the room blocks for MCFC were much more affordable. I think our room ended up being like $700-800 for the room. I don't remember exactly, but go work out, buddy. Do your fitness. Stop being wobbly. But yeah, so it'll definitely be interesting, and I'm sure there'll be hiccups here and there because it is a new venue. There's the weird head rules for the downstairs floors and stuff like that. So I'm sure it's definitely going to be a learning curve for everybody, both the venue and the con staff and the attendees. Because, like, we all got to figure out, well, where are things, you know? Like, where's this panel? Where's this place that the panel's supposed to be at? I've never been to this place before. Like, it's going to be a learning curve. Which is to be expected, you know? But we're working on it. We're doing stuff and things. We're trying to get these suits done in time. It's been so long since I've been able to do a personal suit. I think I did Patch's... Did I do Patch's personal suit? I think I did that a few years ago now. Hold on, let me... It's a good thing I put timestamps on all my shit on my website, because God knows I don't remember. So if I go back... Oh, Patchy Boy 2.0 was 3 years ago now, which, in the big span of things, especially seeing as Patch's 2.0 suit is probably going to last him several more years, is not a long time. But, like, I started off making fursuits specifically for myself, you know, whether it was pre-made just because I do like the process of making fursuits. As much as I do occasionally get burnt out and tired and I don't want to do it and I need a break, you know, like, yes, do your arts. God, get ready for the artist alley, which that is a thing. I know that I am an artist alley and Shay Griffin is also an artist alley at MCFC this year. So for anybody looking for us, I will be in there Friday morning, So I believe that is 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I don't exactly know. You're gonna have to double check on MCFC's website. I believe they should be posting the shifts because they are splitting the artist alleys this year. Artists are not going to be in the artist alley all day long this year. They are splitting it morning and afternoon. So, if you go in the morning at 11 and you go in the afternoon at 5, there's going to be different artists at all the tables. Very important. I feel like they have not talked about that much on their website or their social medias or anywhere, really. I will be in there Friday morning and Friday morning only. Shay Griffin, is going to be there Friday night. So come in and see me in the morning, come back in Friday night and see that. And of course, see all the other artists that are going to be there. I know there's lots of cool people selling all their cool stuff in there this year. The room layout looks like it's going to be a little crowded and a little weird, but that might just be the perspective of the image I was given for the room layout. It might not be properly to scale, and there might be more room than it looks like there will be, but it kind of looks like it's going to be a bit cramped. So I do not recommend wearing a full suit into Artist Alley. I recommend checking it out first before you do so, because I have a feeling it's going to be snug. But definitely come, stop by, say hi, all that good stuff. Because I will be in there, I know. So I will be selling pre-mades, the coloring books, because we do have our canine and feline coloring books that I made a couple years ago. And we still have plenty of those to go around, so we will be selling those. We will be taking commissions for Telegram stickers, I believe. Is that what I put? We'll be doing crimes. We'll be doing the crimes again this year, so if you want one of those, we'll be selling commissions for a crimes badge, much like the little chat emote I've gotten here. In fact, it's the exact same thing, but bigger, so you can scale it down for all of the emotes and Telegram stickers and everything you want. I will be doing commissions for those at the con, so on site they will be digital only this year. Because I am not bringing my fucking printer again. That thing was a pain in my ass last year. Not doing that again. So anything on site will be digital. We will also be taking commissions for embroidered fursuit badges. I don't have an example in the office. In fact, I think my example is currently in the trunk of my car. I do embroidered fursona badges, though. So a normal fursuit badge, but it's fully embroidered. Makes it waterproof. Well, it does get wet, but getting it wet's not going to hurt it, is what I mean. And they are very durable, and, you know, when you take pictures with them, they don't stand out as a brightly colored sheen of white light on the front of your suit, you know? You can actually see the badge, which is honestly my favorite part of the embroidered badges. Plus, you get kind of a fur texture. We can also play with fun materials, like if you want a metallic look, we can do metallic fabrics. We could do, I want to get into color-changing UV threads or metallic threads. Like, I want to do it. Someday I want to learn how to do gradients, because then I can do gradients on the embroidered badges, and that would be dope. I think I need to pay for the more professional program, though, unfortunately for that. We will also be doing the Fursona pelt blankets. I will be selling commissions for those. Very limited. I think I only have 2 or 3 slots. I did the math. I don't remember. We will have a couple slots for Fursona pelt blankets, which is just a fur blanket with fleece or minky backing, so it's extra soft, all the good stuff. And they'll be at a discounted rate because I don't have any examples at the moment. I would like to get some examples for my website. So as a bonus to me for giving me an example to use for my website, you get it for a lot cheaper than it would normally be. Flat rate of $400 for the blanket. And then I think, we are also doing a little mystery machine where you can pay $5 to turn and get a little mystery item out of our little gacha, which will be fun. And then I know at least Shay Griffin is doing buttons. I don't know what all else they're doing, but I do know they're doing button pins this year. And so far, if you ever check them out on Twitch when they stream, are you streaming? When they get back, they're going to have to tell me if they're streaming later tonight or not. Because we should... What is today? Today is Wednesday. You should be streaming today, right? At 8 p.m. Or am I a liar? I don't know. Check them out. They usually stream at 8 p.m. on Twitch. And they have been working on their pins and arts for the Artist Alley this year, so they'll be able to tell you more about what they're selling. I know Pixel Paws is also going to be in the Artist Alley, and they will be selling their fursuit sprays, if I remember right, as well as their commissions and such. I did debate bringing my fursuit sprays, but I thought it would be kind of rude to sell fursuit sprays when vending with Pixel Paws. It seemed kind of rude to compete, even though we do have very different scents and fragrances available. Bingo, are you good? Are you gonna make it? Okay. So, not only that, they are limiting what we can and can't sell in the Artist Alley this year. Like, you're only limited to a certain amount of stuff. And I had other things I could sell, so I just decided to go with those instead. But we are doing pickup for any items ordered from the website. From my website, I am doing pickup for any items ordered prior to the con. If you order it on the website, there is not a pickup option available because that is a pain in the ass to do. But if you message me, email me with a link to the item that you want, or even just the item name, I can send you an invoice for it and have it set for pickup at MCFC, and we can set a time and date to meet up. So if you want a fursuit spray, we do custom fursuit sprays. We have a bunch of tails available. I do have someone picking up a set of ears for the con, because we do still have a few of those left. I don't make them anymore, but I do still have a few sets of magnetic ears left. I don't do them anymore because I am not a fan of magnets. They are very inconsistent. It's so hard to buy magnets that are consistently strong. And quite frankly, I just don't like the way my ears look. There's plenty of other vendors that sell much better looking ears than what I sell. But I do have those and the bandanas and all of the other good stuff available for pickup. Even our pre-mades are available for pickup at MCFC. So if there's one you got your eyes on, we will be bringing a couple of them to MCFC. Not sure exactly which ones yet. They are also up for auction on the Dealer's Den, but if they sell at MCFC, the auction will be taken down from the Dealer's Den website. Brain hole. Something. But yeah. Other than that, we did not get into the Dealer's Den this year, unfortunately. Hopefully next year we'll get in. There's always next year, just like there has been for the last several years. You gotta keep trying, you know? That's the way it goes. And hopefully, I think a lot of it really is just our setup. First off, the last few years hasn't looked particularly professional or inviting compared to some other setups. Like, I know a lot of people in the Dealer's Den have really, really pretty setups. Our setup is not pretty. It's getting there, but the last couple of years it has not been pretty. So, hopefully next year when we apply and we have a photo of our setup, they'll like it much better than this year. The last time I applied, which was with last year's photos, which were not pretty. Because that was before we had our tablecloth, or, you know, any of our new signage that actually looked nice. Stuffing. I don't think I need this much stuffing, but, you know. Better to bring over extra and not need it than to have to get up 17 times to stuff this stupid tail. Speaking of, is this it? Yeah. Um, any suggestions for a medic bag at a fur con? So, I don't know if you are, like, legally trained as a medic. The issue with that is liability. If something happens and you try to administer something as a medical technician, doctor, whatever, you will be held liable for anything that goes wrong. So unless you are actually trained as a nurse or EMT or doctor, I do not recommend bringing anything like needles or anything like, especially needles. Don't bring needles, because those can also be classified as a weapon. Right. So I would recommend bringing simple things like band-aids, maybe granola bars for people who have low blood sugar, bottles of water. You know, I would not bring anything. At most, maybe some gauze. You know, just something to stop bleeding while you wait for paramedics to arrive. You know, and definitely do not administer stuff to people yourself. Offer it to them and have them apply it to themselves. Because if something goes wrong, you don't want to be the person they sue. Because, well, you applied the Band-Aid and then they bled out because a Band-Aid wasn't enough, you know? It's stupid, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So stuff like that. I know Walmart does sell glucose tablets, so if you know anybody who has low blood sugar, glucose tablets you can get, they're like a little bottle. They look kind of like a bottle, like an M&M's tube, like a mini M&M tube. They come in a few different flavors, but they are straight up just sugar tablets. So if someone says they're dropping and they have low blood sugar, that can be helpful. But generally, just a granola bar is usually a pretty good way to go. Bring a pack of those. It's cheap. It's affordable. Most people can have them, and most people will know whether or not it's something they can or can't have. Try to go for things that are soy-free, nut-free, you know, common allergens. Try to go for things that don't have those because you don't want somebody who's having an emergency to be like, well, I can't have that because I'm allergic to peanuts. You know, try to chocolate-free even because chocolate does generally contain soy, and that is a somewhat common allergy. But generally, like a protein bar, a granola bar, stuff like that. Even stuff that's wheat free because of what's it called? Gluten. That's what I'm trying to think of. A lot of people can't have gluten, so but just having snacks and have a couple options for snacks for people who feel like they're getting low. Water bottles definitely, but ultimately, if something like heat stroke happens, that is an issue for paramedics. Like, that is an issue for actual medical professionals, and the best thing you can do is to contact medical professionals. Now, of course, that being said, if someone is literally dropped on the floor having a heart attack, you know, get the AED and follow the instructions. Contact the emergency services and follow their instructions as they tell you, you know, stuff like that. But usually there's con staff everywhere available for that. But yeah. But simple stuff like band-aids is always good. I know I had to bring a few band-aids with me when I was at Umicon because I kept getting blisters on the backs of my heels. Band-aids are good. Tail. Where's the belt? Gotta make sure the belt fits. Belt. Gotta trim this fur. Uh-oh. Belt might not fit. Come on, belt. Belt fits. It's snug, but it fits. I ended up... This was the initial side I stitched, I think, and I was not paying attention, so it came out a little tighter than we wanted. That's okay. So now I just have to... trim the excess fur. There we go. And I generally do this around like the openings of the belt loopholes, just so that way there's not a bunch of fur getting sucked into there being an ass. Because then it gets in the way of the belt and it just looks like a mess and it's awful. There we go. Are we cleaned up in here? It doesn't help either that this is a very stretchy material. So, the actual fabric... I mean, it does help that it's stretchy because that gives me more room for the belt in the hole. But it doesn't help in the fact that it kind of gets stuck and then it just stays stuck. You know, most times if you push through fabric, it slides off and, you know, moves out of the way. Stretchy fabric does not. Stretchy fabric just sits there and is a pain in the ass. There we go. Updated tail. It's very unfortunate that we couldn't do the silicone cores for these tails, but we did learn. And now we know we have to do a very specific tail shape in order for them to work. Which I kind of expected with these ones. I was just kind of hoping to do larger tails, which I still think are doable, but they'd have to be with a different base and not vertical like this. Like, this is a vertical tail, you know, like this. This just is vertical. It would have to be a swooping tail, like so, you know. Which is what it is. We'll learn. So that's that all said and done. Now, I have given myself a pain in my assholes. Because I have decided, post-sewing the bodysuit, to put in a pocket, which is not ideal, but it can be done. It could be done by me simply stitching the pocket on and cutting a slit into the fur directly, but it looks nicer if I can put it along, like, as the seam, because then I don't have to have a secondary seam that shows up in the middle of the fur. It'll also make it easier for me to find, because I'll know, oh, it's between this color and this color, rather than in the middle of this color somewhere. So it'll look nicer, and it'll be easier for me to find and use. Babe, are you good? She just starts wagging her tail. She's like, I'm doing great. I'm fine. Yeah, that's what you sound like, Bingle. Good lord. We're still waiting to hear back from the vet on her blood results, but that might take a few more days. She's been a little sick lately, but she's doing better. Cough is new, but otherwise she's doing better. I imagine the cough's just the weather, because our house can't decide what temperature it is. Our heating sucks, so sometimes it's really freaking cold, and then other times it's like 80 in here, even though it's set to like 70. It's stupid. So it's definitely been fucking with my sinuses. So bad. It's been awful with my sinuses. So essentially what I'm doing right now is I'm reinforcing this joint here, because I'm going to cut all of the other stitching before that. And I'm going to reinforce the other end, because I know this zipper is going to go from here to here. And then actually I'm going to mark closer than I originally was going to, because I fucked up my zipper. It didn't stitch nice, so now it's overlapped and doesn't go quite all the way to the end. It's fine, it still zips, you know, like it still is a pocket. It still opens and I can shove my whole hand in there. So I don't care. It's my suit. I'll do what I want. And I felt like being lazy, and I did not feel like popping that seam that I backstitched over like 17 times. Because that's a pain in the ass to fix. So, we're working with what we got, and we're working with the fact that I'm lazy and it's my own personal suit. So, we're just going to make it like a 1/4 of an inch smaller of a zipper opening, which is fine because it's 8 inches, and I've got baby hands. I've literally got the hands of a 12-year-old. It's stupid. But that is how my hands be. There we go. So now I'm just going to kind of make a few stitches here. Blanket stitch a little bit. Just so that way all the stitching further down doesn't come undone, because I don't want it to. And then I can pop the rest in between. There we go. And now I gotta pop all the seams. Which is gonna be a pain. This also helps because it gives me extra fabric to stitch to. Which will make it look nicer because it won't have a raw edge over this zipper. Whereas normally if I were to just draw a line, cut that line, I'd have like this much seam allowance. Which is not a lot of seam allowance. Which means I end up with a raw edge. This way I don't have to have a raw edge. Just follow my heart. There's the zigzag stitch popped. I gotta pull out 80,000 little squiggles of thread. Huzzah. That helped a lot, actually. And it was only several thousand squiggles of thread. I'll just sweep off the floor later, anyway. Now I gotta pop the straight stitch. Because that is another thing, is I do double stitch my bodysuits. So I do a straight stitch, and then I go back with a zigzag stitch to reinforce. That way, it, first off, requires less strength from the straight stitch, because there's less pressure being put on it from the inside of the seams. And then second off, if the straight stitch fails, there is a backup stitch, and you don't have a massive blowout on your bodysuit. Which is always nice, Definitely a benefit to not have that. Womp womp, says my phone. Who's texting me? Is it my mother? Better be my mother. It's not my mother. Therefore, I'm not answering. Unless you're dying, I'm not answering. I am busy popping seams. Of course, I'm too damn good. This is all machine sewn, too, so it's super tiny stitching. Pain in my butt. Sometimes I get lucky and I can do one of these. Ooh. So that might not be the way I want it. There's a little bit. There's a little bit. Yeah. I personally don't like seam rippers. I feel like they cause more harm than good most of the time because they're really good at stabbing into fabric, which is not helpful, especially when you're working with shit like this and you don't want to rip a hole into your cut of fur that you spent hours machine sewing together. Like, it's a pain in the butt. It really is. Whereas these scissors, they're pointy enough to get underneath the thread, but not so thin and sharp that they're just going to slice right through the fabric the instant you look at it wrong. Hey guys, my alarm's going off. I have to stream at 4. Eh, eh, eh. Come on, thread. There we go. Pull that out a little bit. We are slowly but surely unraveling. Gotta pull out all the excess fur. It's when I brush the seams out, I trim it, and then there's excess fur trapped in there that would normally come out with washing and brushing over time, but now that it's all loosey-goosey, it's free. Oh, come on. Now, there we go. In the case of zippers, actually, this excess fur helps a lot in hiding them. Because the zipper itself provides an area of lack of fur, so the excess fur in the seam fills in that gap and makes it look more even. Whereas normally excess fur in seams just shows up as lines on the fabric, which is why a lot of bodysuits you see will have like a big line down the middle where the seam is. That can be hidden. Maybe not perfectly, but generally that can be pretty well hidden if you first off have small seam allowances. Second off, back brush your seams. So brush the back sides of all your seams. These sides, and trim the excess fur, and then brush the front sides, trim the excess fur. You might have to do it a couple times, but it usually works out pretty well. And then my real question is, which way do I want this zipper to zip? You wouldn't think it's important, but it is. Because if I have it this way versus, I mean, because if it's closed, right? Like if it's, because it's going to end up sitting like right about here on me. Which means if I go like this, that's a pain in the ass to, you know, unzip. Whereas if it's like this, I could just down. So we definitely want this to be on the closed version of the zipper to be on the upper side of this seam, which would be this way. It is important. It's much easier to close a zipper in the wrong direction than it is to open a zipper from the wrong direction, if that makes sense. Opening a zipper towards you and opening a zipper away from you with low tension are two different things. Lots of stuff to consider when it comes to zippers. Stuff you never even thought about before, Bingo. I also like that in this case I get to put it on an angle. I don't always get to put my hidden pockets on angles, because the exact placement of a pocket really depends, first off, on the wearer's preference. I have little hands and little arms, so I didn't want to put this big-ass pocket on my thigh down here, because then I stand up and I have to, like, first off, unzip. This part's fine, right? But then I can only reach halfway down this pocket. And I gotta do this weird slouchy thing to get anything in the bottom, right? Whereas if it's right here, I can just, you know, like, it's all right there. But also, I have a lot of color changes on this bodysuit. And there is, on the front of the suit, quite a few seams right here where the thighs start. So it was easier, rather than trying to put a pocket along this seam that has all these color changes and these darts and shit, it was so much easier to move it 4 inches up to where it would be easier for me anyway, and put it on this one seam that already exists. And an angle is nice too, because I feel like it's more natural for me to reach in like this versus like this, you know? Like, but again, that's up to personal preference for the most part. But also the character design. It'll look better if it's on a seam, so since my character has these seams here already between the color changes, then I don't have to worry so much about hiding a seam, because I'm not creating a new one. I know Mustard's suit, the Nexu suit I did a little while ago, has a hidden pocket. His is a bit lower because it's on the waist seam for the thighs, if I remember right. At least it should be. If not, it's definitely near it. But he's all solid color, so it's very hard to hide a zipper in something that is monochrome. Pulling out all the extra fur tufts from this first stitch. There we go. Now we're going to... which way is down? This way is down, right? Yeah. That's a butthole. This way is down. Like so. So give me a little bit more wiggle room if I do it like this. And then stitch. I need more thread on my needle. Hi, Queen! We're sewing in a pocket. And I was blabbing about the logistics of putting pockets in bodysuits. Because while it's not necessarily hard to do, there are a lot of important details to making them function well. I actually just did, a full bodysuit repair thing. There was a repair and there was a change they wanted to make to their bodysuit. They wanted to change out a color of fur on a certain spot for a different color of fur. And then also they were having an issue with a closure that I had to fix. So, but they also had a pocket, and theirs was on, I don't think it was on a seam, it was just in the fur. I wonder about my spine and everything, because, oh, yeah, those always suck. I'm assuming you've already taken all of the over-the-counter stuff you possibly could. At least anything that you would know works, you know. And I'm sure you know about the heating pads. If you have one that you can use anyway. I didn't have a heating pad for years, and God. Ah, Quinn! Quinn, no! You could also do... oh, what's a natural pain reliever? I want to say you could do an herbal tea with honey, because those tend to have antioxidant, which is anti-inflammatory. So tea might help. Yeah! I'm trying to think of what else you could possibly do, aside from a heat pack. Which, if you don't have a heat pack, you could always get, like, a towel or, like, a washcloth. Get it a little damp. Probably don't get it damp, actually, I lied, don't do that. Because then it'll be scalding hot. And get, rice, just dry rice. Put it into a towel, tie it up, you know, microwave it for like 30 seconds. I recommend putting a cup of water in the microwave so it steams it. That'll keep it from burning. And just, you know, rice with warm, and that'll make a nice homemade heat pack. You could also do a hot water bottle if you have any liquid holders. You got beans, you got dry beans. Not canned beans, bagged beans. Because you could also do beans, same thing as the rice. Yeah. You could also do a hot water bottle or container holding hot water and just use that as a heat pack. Or you could be a crazy person like I was as a young child and just lay over top of one of your floor vents and be careful not to burn yourself. Like, put a blanket down on top. Probably don't do that, because that's probably a fire hazard. But you know, just lay near or on top of a heating vent that won't cook you to death and give you third-degree burns. And just be toasty whenever it comes on. Quinn, I swear to God, you don't got nothing in your house. Yeah, cat mode. Cat mode, you know, curl up in fetal position. It makes the cramps feel better. Curl up in fetal position and just right over top of fucking a heating vent. Ooh, there you go. I don't know. I mean, it might turn into Kool-Aid, though. Oh, look at you go! Look at you go on a streak. You're always here, Quinn. You're always here. My own personal little stream stalker. Hot shower could work too if you don't want to do a bath. Just sit on the tub of a shower and let it rain on you. That shit's the best. The steam works out nice too. Trying to think of what else. I would give you Forrest. He likes to cuddle and he's hot as fuck, so he works as his own little hot water bottle. But unfortunately, he's also a dumbass, so he'd probably just spend most of the time, you know, screaming at you. Yeah, hot showers are good for being sick, just in general. Like, whenever I got the flu as a kid, I would just sit in the bottom of the tub. And then if I had to throw up, it was fine, because it was in the tub. Hard part was, you know, any chunky stuff. Which usually it wasn't by that point. Usually it was just all vile, which is awful. I hated getting the flu. I haven't gotten it in years. We did end up catching COVID once. I brought it home from work and gave it to me and my fiance. So we were sick for like 10 days. Horrible fever, but that was about it. That's what I did when I got drunk once. Y'all. Well, don't crunch too hard if you're not feeling good, Quinn. That is true. Not having a migraine is always a bonus. I had a migraine exactly once. I was on my period and I had a migraine. And it was while we were at Disney World. The one time I went to Disney World in my entire life is when I get a fucking migraine. And of course, I was young enough at the time that my parents didn't want to leave me alone in the hotel room. And they were like, well, we're going to the pool. So here I am, laying next to a pool full of screaming toddlers for hours. It was awful. I didn't even get to swim. All my headaches are migraines. I had a normal headache. Dude, that fucking sucks, man. See, I don't usually get migraines. I get headaches, but I get them for the stupidest fucking shit. Like, if I get too tired, I get a headache. Which then I can't sleep because I have a headache. So then I'm more tired. But then I'm so tired it makes the headache worse. Like, stupid shit like that. Mimicking strokes is not a good thing, I feel like. I feel like that suggests an underlying condition that I hope you already know about. Yeah. I also hallucinate when I get tired. Like, I just start feeling and seeing things that aren't there, which is not fun. But it's harmless otherwise, you know? Like, the spiders aren't real most of the time. Sometimes they are real, and that's what fucking sucks. I can usually tell. Usually. There's been exactly twice where I've been in bed, and there was a spider that decided it was going to crawl on my face while I was trying to sleep. And that has made everything worse since. Because now I have the hallucinations when I get really tired. And they're like, well, spiders are crawling on you. No, they're not. Yes, they are. No, they're not. And there hasn't been spiders crawling on me lately. But what do I know? Maybe it's a real spider for once. It's happened before. Basic once my drill sergeant laughed at me. I don't blame him though. Yes, it's been diagnosed. Thank God you had it looked at. Good to know that it's not like an immediate threat. Hopefully. Like it's something you're managing and not just loosey-goosey like, well, I'm not dead yet. Because that's definitely not healthy. I did that for several years. It took me 4 years to get diagnosed with Tourette's because I didn't have health insurance. So, You know what most likely would be best for my back? Yeah! Oh, oh, the cracks in the spine. God. How's your back feel, Quinn? Now that you're not shrimping. Good lord. I do that sometimes. See, the issues in my back does not pop, like, ever. Like, every once in a while I might get, like, the smallest crack, but, like, I cannot get my spine in general to actually crack, no matter how I move or what I do. I can, however, dislocate my hips. For funsies. Like, and my jaw, too. But that's because of braces. I had the braces. My parents decided my face wasn't pretty enough, so I needed braces. And that caused some TMJ. So now I can, on a whim, like, just manually dislocate and relocate my jaw. Which is not good for your jaw. Don't do that. It's very bad for the joints there. But sometimes it happens anyway, whether or not I'm trying. So. I hate having scoliosis while I also having the usual woman stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I am so glad I did not. And that's the thing. Is scoliosis a thing that can only happen when you're like you can only get it when you're younger as you're growing, or is it something that can develop? I mean, I imagine that with severe immobility and hunching and stuff like that, you could eventually cause spinal issues as far as structure goes. You know, where it misaligns and stuff like that. But like, is scoliosis like a genetic thing, or like something that happens specifically while you're growing? Right, because I remember, like, as a kid in school, they would do the spine test. They'd be like, all right, bend over and reach for your toes. We're going to, you know, feel down your spine. Make sure you don't have scoliosis. Because like, I feel like that's very much a developmental, like, actual condition versus, like, you just need to stretch and exercise more and it'll get better kind of thing, you know? Like, I feel like it's, like, the physical bones themselves are fucked. Yeah, I say that's kind of the thing for me too, because we know nothing about my father's side, and my mother's side doesn't tell her anything. So I know nothing about any of their families whatsoever, and I barely know anything about my parents themselves in the first place. But we're gonna look up scoliosis and see, because now I'm curious. If I can spell, thanks Google. Often appearing during growth spurts in late childhood or early teens, while most cases are mild and idiopathic, unknown cause. Severe cases may require bracing or surgery. Causes and risk factors. If it's idiopathic, it's the most common form that has no known cause. Congenital or neuromuscular is related to birth defects or conditions like cerebral palsy. It says it is a myth that is caused by poor posture, heavy backpacks, or playing sports. The high risk factors are primarily in children, with a higher likelihood of progression in girls, and it can run in families. So it sounds like it's actually like a legitimate growth issue in your spine, and not just, oh, well, you've held a position for so long that your spine has shifted out of place. Because I do know that, like, that's generally how, in generally healthy people, that's how, like, things like slip discs and stuff happened, or, like, inflammation of the discs, is usually due to inactivity, or, like, improper posture and stuff like that. And then when you do move in a way that you're supposed to, you know, normally move, it's your body's so unused to it that it causes issues like back pain because those muscles haven't been used in forever, or, you know, things like that. So turns out scoliosis is most likely a genetic disorder. Yeah, I know. I hunch my shoulders so much, like just my shoulders, but it does hurt my neck. Like, it's gotten to the point where, like, I can feel my neck slanting just from poor posture. And it's like, oh, phones. It's the phones. Like, I just need to look up more in my day. But almost all day long, I'm like this. Which means my neck is not sitting nice. And now I feel like sitting like this physically hurts. Like, just holding... Let me actually sit with proper posture. Like, this is uncomfortable. And, like, it's always been a little uncomfortable. But, like, it hurts to hold this for a while now. And honestly, part of that might be actually from the Tourette's, because I have a lot of motor tics that cause me to swing my head. which has caused a lot of muscle and neck pain in general right below my skull. So what all is just me having bad posture or, my Tourette's or anything else is debatable. Who fucking knows? Not me! But, there we go. But yeah, so it is what it is. Sitting up straight is just uncomfortable and feels unnatural. Yeah, it really does. Like, it takes so much effort to, use a spine. Using my spine takes so much work. And, it doesn't help that this chair doesn't have a backrest anymore. I had, at one point, 3D printed one and strapped it onto the chair, but of course it was 3D printed with PLA, so it wasn't exactly durable. The backrest itself was cardboard. Literally cardboard. And, that helped, but, just sitting upright on its own, slouching like this, still not great. This is comfortable. I gotta potato sack it, this is the most comfortable position for me, which is awful, because I know it's not good for me. Ooh, sitting up straight doesn't even help my back. Because the pain is in my lower back. Yes, it's always lower back pain because of my scoliosis. My lower back doesn't even touch the chair. I wonder, so I do know there's a stretch where, if you sit on the floor, right? If you sit on the floor and prop your feet up like so, put your elbows in here, and then, spread your legs, or, bend them, outwards if you can, without obviously hurting your hips. Lean forward and just that. It should help with, lower back pain in general, supposedly. I haven't personally tried it. There's a few different positions and stretches that you can do that should help. That's just one that I've heard is supposed to help. It definitely spreads my hips. Ow. That's the problem. It's if I spread my hips too far, I feel them, pinch a nerve and pop. My hips are tilted to the left. That's interesting. I imagine that has to be because of the scoliosis, that has to be, a tandem issue. Since your spine is out of alignment, your hips have to be out of alignment to compensate. How the hell do you walk in those heels? You're just a squiggle of barely balanced all the time. Good lord, Quinn. But yeah, sorry, I gotta focus really hard on this one particular spot, because now we're switching to the other side of the zipper. Flip. I have a cane because of my hip at times. I can't stay full of water because of my hip. The cane relieves the pressure. Right, because then you're able to lean a bit and put some support on the cane. I have a cane that I use every now and then. I haven't used it in a hot minute because I've actually been doing fairly good lately with the Tourette's. But whenever Bingus retired, and I stopped having her for my mobility and for DBT, really, because DBT was a very good preventative for my episodes. The cane was extremely helpful in that. Sorry, hold on, I'm trying to figure out this one particular spot of zipper. There we go. Yeah. Mostly because I needed something to catch my balance, and I would have opted for a walker, because realistically that was more ideal than a cane. Because I could fall in any direction at any time, depending on how my tics were going and how off balance I was. The thing is when you have Tourette's for long enough, you get really good at catching yourself if you have the motor tics that I have anyway. Problem is you can't catch yourself on everything. So catching myself on a cane was better than nothing. Because, like, I can still balance. Like, I have leg muscles and I know how to balance. The issue is when you're shaking your head, I don't know where I'm at physically in space anymore, and I lose my balance because of that. But once when I have something to stabilize on, I'm good. So when I started having bad episodes again, being out and about doing things, having the cane really, really helped. And that was like the one upside to Walmart, is that when I was having episodes, it was usually fine, because there's, a lot of shelving to hold on to, or I was pushing the cart around grabbing stock for OGP. But it sucked because I couldn't see shit. I haven't used my cane in ages because I haven't had issues with my hip. It would usually only hurt bad if I'm standing in a spot for a long time or putting pressure on my hip. My knees hurt. Like, standing is physically painful. Like, if I stand still for more than 5 minutes, like, if I'm not, like, shimmying back and forth and, like, moving, bending my legs, my knees are just awful. They're like, what are we doing? Why are you torturing me? And I don't know why. I haven't had it looked at, but, but like I said, I've been pretty good about my tics lately, and I imagine it's because I'm mostly at home these days. I'm not, working a 9 to 5 anymore. I do this all day, every day. So very rarely am I out and about on my feet for hours on end, doing stuff, interacting with people that causes the stressors that inevitably lead to an episode. Because there's a lot of things that can lead to an episode for me, and a lot of times it's, anxiety, being stressed out, being overly energetic. So a lot of times if I'm at a con or a fur meet, you might see me ticking because, well, I'm excited, I'm running around, I'm doing things. It's a lot of high energy stimuli, and that often leads to an episode. Or, like, if it's late at night, getting tired can cause episodes, which sucks because it's the same deal as the headaches, where, well, now I'm tired, so now I'm ticking, but now my tics are keeping me awake because I can't sleep if I'm smacking my head into the pillow every 2 seconds. Like, it is awful. Woo! First day after 3 weeks. God, they kept you off for that long? Good lord. That's dumb. Like, I don't know why they would hire people on just to not work them. It's like, maybe it was just a really big scheduling error or whatever. Was 60 hours, yeah. I said that's always the big thing, is when they have too many people, it's a big issue of going over on hours. But, everybody wants their hours. So it's like, why'd you hire so many people, though? Like, why'd they hire you in the first place if they already had so much staff they're going way over on hours constantly? Like, that just seems ridiculous to me. Granted, I'm sure there's some high schoolers that are in school. I don't know. Vacations. Right, like, why are they hiring more people if... Which, like, granted, if it's for a different shift, because being over on hours during day shift and over on hours during the evening shifts is two different things. So they might have had too many people during the lunch period, but if they're hiring everybody for the same shift, that just seems really stupid. Because I know McDonald's does pretty much the same thing, and I was like, what the fuck? Not that it ever affected me, I was there full-time for years. There were several times where... So I kind of got lucky, and also unlucky in the same page, because I got lucky that my aunt happened to be the general manager, which means I didn't have to do an interview. I didn't do any of the training modules either, which definitely isn't okay. They just threw me in and was like, yeah, so-and-so will train you. And then I was trained for like 1 day, and they were just like, just ask your mom. Because my mom also worked there. Like, if you have a question, just ask your mom. She's presenting. So I'm over here order taking by myself on day 2. Awful. God awful. 0 training, order taking. Upside, it's pretty easy to pick up, so I figured it out within a week, all the different stuff, and had it mostly down pat, aside from things here and there. But the benefits are that I didn't have to apply, I just had the job. The cons of your aunt being the general manager means that, oh, well, your cousin's on spring break from college, so you're on spring break too, right? How would you like to work 11 days in a row during your spring break? And not get overtime because it's split over 2 pay periods? You want to do that? And that would happen a lot. Because she'd be like, oh, I know you're not doing anything today. Someone called in. You need to come in. And I can't say no because it's my aunt. And she'll bitch at me. Except most of the time I would say no because I'd come up with some stupid-ass excuse. Like, oh, no, I have to do this project for class that's outside of class, whatever. But, like, the spring break, I had no excuse. It was spring break. So, and, I wanted the money anyway. But not 11 days in a row. I haven't worked on the registers yet. I've been putting in kitchen. I've been being put in the kitchen on the fryers every time, which is fine by me. Wherever, like, they had me trained on pretty much every service position. So I used to do back cash, presenting, order taking, front cash. I did do fries and bagging whenever managers weren't available. There was a few manager type things, like changing out the sauces on the ice cream machine for the shakes, like the flavorings, the chocolate, the strawberry, whatever. That technically took a manager because they had to be able to not tear, what's it called? They had to essentially rerun it through the lines in order for it to start spitting out the flavoring again because it had to refill the lines. And that was something that the managers were trained on, but normal staff wasn't. So they were just like, here, I'm going to show you how to do this, and you can do it for me, because I don't have time for that shit. And I was like, cool. And that saved us all so much time and made stuff so much easier. So I was just usually the one who would change that sort of stuff. But stuff that was like trained to managers but didn't require a manager number, It's like I wasn't not allowed to do it, but it just wasn't something that they don't like taught staff. Tomorrow I'm going to be working with someone that's been here for 2 months. She does nothing. If she does do something, she does it very slowly or stares at you with deer in headlights look. I'm always left to do everything myself. I fucking hate people like that. It's always the worst. Like, which that was a big thing at McDonald's, was specifically with order taking, right? If there was someone like that, they'd put you on order taking, and then they'd put me as the other order taker, because I could keep up with my line just fine, and all the orders. But the rule was that you're not allowed to do their orders, right? So if I'm on lane 1, I can do all of the drinks and stuff for lane 1. I am not touching shit for lane 2. I am not even taking lane 2. I will let that fucker beep. And they will know I'm on lane 1, because I would answer both of them all day long if I have to. Because they used to, several times, we'd be short-staffed and be like, hey, I need you to answer both lanes and do all of the drink orders for both lanes by yourself during lunch rush today. Which is, it sucks because people are assholes and they don't understand that there's only one person working both speakers in a McDonald's drive-thru sometimes. But, it is what it is. But yeah, for people like that, they would specifically let you work with them and let them do the thing that they're not supposed to do, and then yell at them, and they would get written up, and eventually they'd be fired, which helped us get rid of the people that sucked pretty quickly. I just stood up to say bye to Luna when she was leaving for work, and my stomach decided to hate me. Oh, there, buddy. Hopefully it feels better, especially when you start moving around, because I know a lot of times, like with the cramps, moving around helps stuff feel better. Like, it doesn't make it go away, but it is better than potatoing if you don't have, like, heating pads and all that to help with drugs. God, ibuprofen's a godsend. Which, Bingus over here, we took her to the vet. She's been having a yucky tummy. So, we explained to our vet, what we've been doing and whatnot. Our old vet used to recommend cottage cheese if they had an upset stomach, because it's high in protein and, probiotics and stuff like that. And our current vet looked at me and was like, yeah, no, just do the chicken and rice, because there's not enough protein or probiotics for that to be, like, worth it, considering dogs are lactose intolerant. I was like, you would think, but it usually works. Like, they get so much better so quick. And unfortunately, the dogs now love cottage cheese. It is one of their favorite snacks, even if it makes them a little bit gassy. Uh, it really doesn't make them too gassy, surprisingly, because like cheese in general does. Um, but like when Bingus was on multiple medications, but she is right now on a bunch of meds. But our vet was very clear, like no dairy, no dairy, stop that. And I was like, okay, I'll stop that. Um, we used to put squeeze cheese in her. She was taking a bunch of pills and stuff because dogs don't want to take their pills. So squeeze cheese. I put the teeniest, tiniest dollop, like we're talking like the size of a split pea dollop, on top of this massive pill, and she would inhale it down the hatch. Perfectly fine, because there's a tiny bit of squeeze cheese. So I figured it wouldn't cause enough digestive upset to be an issue, and, she would take her meds without me having to, like, force them down her throat. That's not allowed. But she learned that if I ask her if she wants to do some drugs, she's going to get squeeze cheese. So at the vet, I mentioned this. I was like, oh yeah, she really likes the word drugs because it means cheese. And she went, drugs? She got so excited. I was like, see? And the nurse at the vet thought that was fucking hilarious. Our actual vet did not find it as funny. She's very against cheese for doggos. Which, like, I'm lactose intolerant too, bitch. I know what it do. It's not gonna kill them to have the tiniest bit of cheese. Granted, if they are already shitting their guts out, it's probably not a good idea. Like, that's a given. I feel like don't give them stuff that's gonna upset their stomach when they already have an upset stomach. She was sick with other things when we were giving her the cheese and calling it drugs. I guess when Luna had to work with that person, they put that person up front, and at the end of their shift, there was no stocking done in there. And the dining room apparently wasn't done, and nothing was done by her. Managers keep her around because apparently she's still trying to find where she works. They're still trying to find where she works best. Apparently nowhere. She works best nowhere. I don't know. That sounds like there's a big management issue there then, if that's what they're doing, and she's been there that long. But what do I know? I was never management, and I never will be, because I don't want to be management. They do not get paid enough to deal with the bullshit they deal with all the time. They have to do so much more work for like $1 more an hour. And maybe health insurance. Kinda awful, not gonna lie. I've worked this girl a couple times. In my first day, I let it pass because I also didn't know what to do. But after that, come on, you don't need me running around putting down the fries, onion rings, and other stuff by myself. Yeah, yeah. I've had to deal with people like that when I worked at McDonald's. But again, they generally did not last long because the management we had was pretty good. It was also kind of funny. So, particularly when my aunt was a general, because I've worked at multiple McDonald's locations, and there was a hot minute where I worked underneath my aunt as the general manager, and there was a very long time where I worked under not my aunt, someone I wasn't related to as the general manager. But it was always funny when we get new people, and they'd be like, God, she's such a bitch. And I'd be like, yeah, I know. And then a week later, they'd be like, wait a minute, that's your aunt? And you let me call her a bitch? Oh my God, like, what? Like, they would freak the fuck out, and they would never say anything negative about her again in front of me, even if I agreed with them, because, like, she kind of could be sometimes. She got very bitchy about it, which, like, I understand, because she was the general manager, and there's a lot of bullshit that she had to deal with from the higher-ups. But she could absolutely be a bitch. She'd done it to me before, and I got pissed off, and I was like, that's fucking stupid. Like, I don't care. That was bullshit, and you know it. Like... There's actually, I have one particular memory of this, where I had a car come through, and there was 2 cars that came in. I was in back cash. Oh, fuck the zipper. Hold on. We'll do this after the ad break. Fucking fur in the zipper! But I had a car come in. And it was, God, the zipper's unzipped, so the pocket is stupid. You need to zip it back up. But the fur is places. And it doesn't help that I'm not currently wearing the bodysuit, so it's being a pain in my ass. I might have to trim around the zipper just a little bit to keep all the fur from... I don't want to, though, because that's going to make it look uneven. Come on, come on! You can do it! You can zip all the way up. And then actually, I want to see how that zipper... I mean, it's already gone. It's fucking gone. Cool. It's so well hidden, it just disappears. God damn. I want to switch the stream to my phone and curl up in bed, but at the same time, I don't want to move from the seat. It's too much work. That's a mood, man. I need to do so many things with this. Because I need to pin down the pocket so it stays in place properly. So I need to zip up the big body zipper, too. There's that. I'm just gonna go... like this, because this should be... Well, no, hold on. Hold on, I have an idea. Because the issue is, right, is the fabric's going to curve. I'm just going to change how the pocket's going to sit, because it is on a curved part of fabric. So I'm just going to get inside my bodysuit inside out. Ooh. I'm going to figure out where in the world I need to pin it. Let me... Where's my bodysuit padding? I'm pretty sure this is the ankle padding and not the thigh padding. It's whatever. Padding is padding at the moment. It doesn't matter which one it is. What does matter is that the fabric is sitting how it would normally sit when I'm wearing it. I just thought the hot bath again. Ugh, why does everything feel like too much work to do? Because it's a Tuesday. Or a Wednesday. What is today? Is today Tuesday or Wednesday? Because it's a day. It's a weekday, and that is why. Yeah, see, there's this big old curve thing, which means the pocket's going to sit differently. Today's Wednesday. Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to mark the corners and where they end up. There we go. And then this means that when I put my padding in later, and I'm trying to reach into my pocket, it should fit fine, which normally this would be up a little higher because I'd normally have more like I'd have butt padding and stuff that would pull it up more. But I'm just excited because this suit looks really good when it actually has all the padding and stuff in. And you know it's not inside out. Are you good, Bingus? Okay, cool. As long as you're good. Except now I gotta escape an inside-out zipper, which is not as easy as I hoped. There we go. There we go. Padding. But then that way, so essentially what I'm doing is I'm going to pin the corners, if not the entire bottom, of the pocket down, which will hold it. So that way whenever I have padding and stuff moving around, it's not going to bunch up, it's not going to do stupid things and slide everywhere, you know. Like, you ever put on a pair of shorts or pants or something, and it's got like a pocket, but the pocket's not stitched in, so then the pockets flip out, and then there's, you know, or they fold up weird because if they're big pockets, they're stupid like that. Like, it's awful. I hate it. Well, I guess how much do you want to do? Like, do you have to do stuff, or could you potato for today? You know, because like, there's nothing wrong with taking a day off and potatoing. Hi, Forrest. We never did make a prediction today to see if he was going to beg me for attention. Damn. We did. The last stream's prediction did fail. He did not beg for pets. I did pet him a lot, but he did not beg me for attention. He's currently asking for attention. Hello. Hello. You got a hair tie still. Hello, baby. Hello, baby. Beautiful baby. Oh, big stretch. Here, can I take your hair tie out of your hair? It's getting scrunkly. Stop moving. Give me your hair tie. We have started having to tie up his hair, which I think I'm gonna have to get you like little wraps, some parchment paper up in here. Sorry, I know it's probably pulling on your hair. I'm sorry. I do not miss the days of having to have these tiny rubber bands in my hair either. There we go. Definitely pulled out a bunch of hair. Sorry, bud. His hair is currently doing a thing where like it into his eyeballs, so we've been tying his hair back. And now there's a little... Let's puff you back up. Yeah, so you don't have a silly spot on your head. But his hair keeps falling into his eyeballs, so we've been tying it back to help hold it out of his way. Yeah, Quinn says woo. Yeah. You're a good baby. Oh, good baby. Hello. Yes, you're a good baby too, Bingle. She's over here like, I am also a good baby. I have commissions, but the commissioner for the big commission is patient until I take my time. I have 3 other comms from Glacier that I should probably work on, but energy for that is blur. Well, it's definitely best to get your commissions done, so then they're out of the way. But also, if you are feeling really sick, you're sick, you know? This is why when I schedule stuff for commissions, I try to give myself like an extra week or 2 for any big commissions and an extra couple days for small ones. Like, if I expect a commission to take me maybe a week, I'm only going to do like a couple days, right? I'm going to add a couple days. But if I expect it to take me a full month, I'll add an extra week or 2 just in case I get sick or there's like stuff fell behind, like stuff's not coming in the mail like it's supposed to, you know, things like that. Any sort of delays that might, like car breaking down, you know. Just because then I have extra time to work on the commission. I probably should be using black thread for this and not white, but it's fine. Do I want to stitch this all the way across, or do I just want to stitch? I think I'm just going to stitch the corners, because the corners should be plenty. And that'll allow a lot more flexibility in my pockets. Thank you for telling me not to panic, and welcome to chat. We're only panicking a little bit, because we have less than 2 weeks to finish these, and I'm currently waiting on my clipper blades to come back, so I can shave a part, because I can't sew a bunch of parts until I have that part shaved and sewn on, and it's a whole thing. So right now we're working on putting a pocket in the bodysuit, and we just finished updating the bases of the tails for the other bodies, because this is a set of twin suits. I don't really feel sick when my back's hurting enough to where I can't fathom the thought of leaning forward at my desk for drawing. Yeah, I would call it a sick day then, you know? Like, trying to feel better, and then maybe if later tonight you feel better, then work on commissions a little bit. But that hot bath is probably a good idea. Forrest, don't lick my fur. He's a bud. Yeah, don't lick it. Oh, hello, DBH. All of the children. I'll probably let them know that progress is going to be delayed for a few days. Okay. Sounds like a plan. Definitely let them know. The last thing commissioners want is for you to kind of ghost them and not tell them that, hey, something's going on. Communication's always a good thing. Always better to have extra communication than not enough. So, whenever I do commissions, if I'm not actively working on the commission, there's not a whole lot of communication, like it'll be like, oh, hey, I received your payments, or like the Trello queue will get updated, right? But once when I start actually working on a commission, or like when we get close to it, we're picking out furs, that sort of thing, I start updating quite a bit. Like I'll be like, hey, here's the furs that I think we should use. Let me know if there's anything you want to change. Okay, I ordered the furs. Hey, your furs got here. And then when commission starts, it's like daily, like every day. I'm like, okay, so here's what I got done today. Here's what I got done today. Here's what I got done today. Like, because I want to give them all the chances in the world to tell me if they don't like something and want it changed before I'm 10 miles ahead. You know, like because for like the bodysuit, right? Like right now, this entire bodysuit is done except for this pocket. The last thing I want is for them to tell me, hey, this piece is the wrong color. All this shit's double stitched. Like, it's awful. Oh, except this part's not double stitched very well. Good thing I saw that. I'm gonna have to hand double stitch that for a second. Because it skipped the seam. It's a good thing these are personal suits. I understand that I'm working on a suit com at the moment, and I'm just looking for someone I can find body double. Yeah, body doubling is dope. That's kind of why I stream, is because it kind of kicks my ass in the gear to get stuff done on the days that I actually have enough energy to do stuff. Especially when it's stuff like this, because it's like, I don't really want to install a pocket, and I didn't really want to sew a gore patch, like, but we have to, we gotta do stuff all the time. I'm very, very burnt out at the moment, but it's also a case of, I have to get this done before con, otherwise it was all for nothing. Not really all for nothing, but like, I have been planning this for, it's been about 8 months of work, for these suits. 6 months of which were planning before I even started making them. So I had specifically set up a time and figured out how long. Like, okay, it's going to take me about 2 months to do generally. And if there's any setbacks, that might be 3 months. Which means if I start in the beginning of December, that should give me enough time to get it done in time for February for this con. Which means I have to get everything figured out before December, get all my materials, all that good stuff. Is there fur in my nose? Good lord. There might have been a bit of fur in my nose. Anyway, there's fur everywhere. I would not be surprised. So it took a lot of planning, and now it's like 2 weeks from the con, and I kind of am sick of it. Like, I normally don't have to put this much work into suits, but I had to do a lot of research because I'm doing a lot of new things. Like, we were trying to do silicone cores for the tails, but because of the style of tail shape that I was looking to do, we did not get, it just didn't work out. I learned a lot, which means I can now offer the silicone core tails. I just can't do them in this suit, which means I had to redo the gore patches. So that was one thing. I had to learn some LEDs, because I've never done LEDs before, much less in a fursuit. So we figured out a way to, first off, I learned how to code the LEDs, at least a little bit. Got a lot of help from my father for that one, because he's big into the electronics. I figured out how to solder them all together myself, completely from scratch, with their controllers and stuff. I had to figure out how to put buttons in places that I would never put buttons in again, because, oh my god, that was a pain in the ass. It's all radio frequency bullshit stuff. But my biggest concern was waterproofing, because I want to be able to clean these suits. So that was the big thing, was finding, first off, waterproof buttons, figuring out how to waterproof the entire button setup, and figuring out either how to make the LEDs themselves waterproof or figure out how to make them removable. And my issue is the connection between the LEDs and their battery pack being waterproof, because it's kind of hard to make a waterproof USB port. So instead, what I ended up doing is I made the LEDs completely removable from the head. So I can actually show you. This is the suit that's currently on screen there. He's a cutie patootie. I just gotta find one of his hand paws. Although I don't know how well it's gonna show up on screen, to be honest with you. So, sneaky secret behind the scenes, the buttons are built into the hand paws. They are between the lining and the fur. And this is the part that was a pain in the ass. It's something that I would not normally offer for commissions, because button placement varies person to person. This hand paw has the button placement set up for my fiance, and not for me. So while I can technically control the buttons, they don't sit where my fingertips sit, which means it's a bit of a pain for me to consistently press the buttons. I can, but it takes a lot of pushing and fiddling. Whereas if he puts his hand in there, they all sit perfectly. I have teeny tiny baby hands. He has normal sized adult hands. It's a whole thing. So, inside the heads, I don't know how well you guys will be able to see this, but inside our heads, we have our LEDs are in up here. And we've got our box that holds our Arduino, and then we have a battery pack in the back. I don't know how well I showed that on camera. Not at all. Cool. So, it's a little hard to see even in person. But we have the white box here is the Arduino. There's a little lid. So this slides off, and the Arduino can fully come out with all of the wiring. And the LEDs can come out of the head. And I can actually pull all that out for you guys to show you what the wiring itself actually looks like. So I'm not the best at wiring, so this thing does have a little clip in this head to help hold it all in there. Come on. The upside is, it's very much in the head. Downside is, it's very much in the head. Where did it go? What? Oh, did I not have a cover on it this whole time? Okay, cool. And then we're just gonna unplug this. So, this is all of our electronics. They come right out of the head, which means now I can just submerge the head all I want, no problem. You got our cord and our little battery pack here. So here I have an Arduino Nano that has been hot glued to shit just in case it does get wet. Although clearly not enough. We have a tucked over in here. This little controller is our radio frequency controller that talks to the buttons in the hand paws. And then of course we have our LEDs that pop into the custom 3D printed little ring holder that I made for these heads. Specifically to fit these LEDs. So then, I really need to... Where's the little cover I have? Here it is. It really needs its little LED cover, because these fuckers are bright, and they light up the inside of the head. So I've been meaning to put that in here, but clearly I haven't. Winter. Come on. Oh, I got the lid upside down, that's my bad. There we go. I was like, why won't it fit? And then the white box that the Arduino sits in is permanently installed, but it's also 3D printed. Custom little 3D printed case for it. This probably could be scaled smaller than what I did, but again, I am not good at electronics, so we're kind of just working with... This is my first time doing any sort of, like, actual LED coding programming type stuff, so... wiring, all that good stuff. And I've done a little bit of soldering before because I do install mouse stands pretty regularly, but nothing to this extent. Nothing with a motherboard. Like, nothing that is actually a computer doing things. There we go. Get back in there. I didn't say it was easy to take in and out, but it can be taken in and out to clean. We just plug it into our little battery pack. Goes in its little pocket, and we can turn on our LEDs. And it is very bright inside the head right now because there's no cover. Not this stupid little fucking thing. But we got blue. I don't know how well you guys can see. We got blue. We got our yellow. We got our red flashing. And we've got gamer mode. Because why not? That's actually not showing up bad on camera. I did end up turning up the brightness on these, because when we initially programmed them, we had them at like 4% brightness, which is not very bright. So now it's at like 20%, which is much, much better and works during the daytime. Problem is, as you can see, it lights up the inside of the head. So I now have to get these little 3D printed covers I made, specifically for the first two heads. Specifically for my little LED holders. that I also had to custom make to fit around the LEDs to block most of the excess light, because we do want to see what color we have on our head at the time, but you know. Oh, come on, don't be a butt. Get in there. This one is particularly snug compared to the other head, so it's a pain in my ass all the time. It's gonna drive me nuts. I didn't say I was good at 3D printing. I also did not make the placement very well. Because I ended up placing the LED rings right behind the headband in the head. So they're half covered by the headband, which makes them kind of difficult to access. But that does cover most of the light. So now I can see without being blinded, but I can still see what color is in the head. Which, granted, this one is not my suit. This one's my fiance's. For him to wear. I actually want to rotate that the other way, please. Why do we have to be such a bitch about it? Come on. This one's so much more snug of a fit on the headband than the other one was. It's because the headband is in the way, so getting stuff into their proper places is a pain in the ass. But I did get a lot of help from my father with the electronics, because he knows way more than I do about them. You know what? It doesn't really matter if it's properly sat in there, because God knows it's stuck in there. So yeah, that's that. And of course we got our zipper for easy access, because God knows I was not going to want to reach up through in here and fight the electronics. And then we do have, for the suits, we have our new, our pins that I embroidered and, you know, put pin backings on. They can't be pinned on to the center of the head, obviously, because there's a zipper there, but we have a couple of those. I've got some armbands in the works that go with the character designs, because they are based off of a video game, so they know all that. But the electronics in here, there is essentially a button battery pack, the other end of the radio frequency controller, and then a button in each of the fingers. And they're all hot glued to shit as a form of waterproofing, because hot glue is basically low-grade silicone. It's pretty much the same kind of thing. It insulates just as well. Problem is changing out that little button battery is going to be a pain in the ass whenever I have to do that. And I am not looking forward to it. Not the slightest. Because that means I have to pop a seam on the side of the arm. I have to peel off a bunch of hot glue. Like, take that shit off. And I gotta put new battery in, re-hot glue it, put it back in the hand, redo the seam. Which isn't a whole lot of work. But it's still work. You know, like, I really wish I had a way to just get to the battery pack and not have to do all that. But there's not really a good way for me to do that and have it be waterproofed, you know. I can actually show you with a little... These are... Because I bought everything in bulk, so now I have like 80,000 of all my parts. Except for the LEDs. I only had 2 of the LED rings, but... these are little button battery packs that I bought. So they're just a couple of wires, whatever. And then this little plastic, they're so cheap, but they work. Yeah, even opening is a pain in the ass. But then a little button battery fits in there, and you just snap it back down, and it's good. But they work. Exactly. That's the whole point, is that, first off, can I do it? Second off, how can I do it better? Like, we learned from the tails. I could do silicone core tails, just not the way I did them on this suit, you know? And, like, We're trying out some stuff with the feet paws, and I'm still waiting on materials to come in because it's coming from China and it's slow as shit. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah! Not him nodding at me. Yeah. Yes, it is. Oh, such a good baby. Can I give you kisses? Yeah, you good baby. You good baby. You good baby. Come here. Come here. Beat your baby. Beat your baby. He doesn't trust me anymore because I blew a raspberry on his snoot, and now he thinks every kiss is going to be a raspberry. It's not. It's not going to be a raspberry, I promise. Come here. Yes, I love you. I love you. You're such a good boy. You're such a good baby. This is Baby Man's, by the way, also known as Forrest. He is my standard poodle. Whoop. And he is a big baby. Oh, don't slip and fall and die. There you go. You got a fuzzy on your butt. Fuzzy on your butt. Oh my god, I fucked. Ah! I just keep sticking to you. Boop, the baby man. Boop, 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 boop. All the boops. Yeah. Yeah. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, staticky. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. Oh. So, I do think that's all of, like, the work we can get done for today. Oh. Okay. It's a very big yawn on his part. Can you scoop, please? Off. Fuck off. Thank you. But I do have some stuff and things. So hold on. We have recently gotten a lot of new fragrances. Okay. So, are you going to be nosy? You want to smell them all? Is that your thing? He wants to smell all the smells because he likes smelling smells. Yeah. That's exactly how it goes. Don't worry, we can give him another boop just for you. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. On to boopins. Bonus boopins. That's okay. Yeah. So for everybody who's interested, we are going to MCFC in a couple weeks. That's what the con crunch is for. We're currently in waiting mode because there's literally nothing else I could do. Because there's literally nothing else I can do until my clipper blades come back from sharpening. Because I have to shave some parts before I could sew them in, and I can't sew any other parts in until those parts are sewn in. It's a whole thing. And I don't have space to start any of my next commissions, unfortunately. There's not enough space in this office for it. But we are getting ready for the con. So the next couple of streams are probably going to be some drawing streams. Just for, work to do. Because I don't like sitting around twiddling my thumbs and shit. But we have recently gotten a lot more fragrances for our custom fursuit sprays, which we are doing free pickups on at MCFC. So... What game? What game do we know? What game? I don't know what you're talking about. We now have a lot of scents when we do our custom fursuit sprays. You can you can choose up to 3 different fragrances for $10, and we will have them at MCFC. What was it, 15? I think the normal base fragrance is $10, and it's 15 for the custom ones. Let me double check that, because I don't remember. There's so many numbers that go through my head all day long. I have so many things that I am selling. $10. We are doing the special for MCFC where it's $10 for a custom fragrance. Available for pickup either while we're in Artist Alley on Friday morning or during the con itself. You do have to order before the con, though, because we will not have them to be made at the con. We can't bring all the materials, we can't bring all the fragrances and the extra bottles, we just don't have the space. But if you order a custom one prior to the con, we will have it available at the con for pickup if you'd like. So we do have our classic clean scents, which is all of our fragrances like orange, fresh cut grass, fresh cotton, French vanilla, grapefruit, lemon. We do also have cherry blossom. These are ones that we've had for a while. I'm a big fan of the lemon because it smells kind of like lemon pez. Like, lemon. I really like citrusy scents though. And fresh cotton smells straight up like laundry, just clean laundry. It's great. Fresh cut grass is also another one. Like, you wouldn't expect it to smell exactly like a mowed lawn, but it does. So if you're a big fan of mowed lawn smell, you would like fresh cut grass. Our next newest pack is our winter pack that we received, which comes with a lot of smells. We did have these at Yumacon when we were vending there. So this has sugar cookie, harvest spice, gingerbread, Christmas wreath, and cinnamon. The cinnamon and gingerbread are both very strong. Like, so strong. And we did find, so we like to do little test swatches when we do sell them at cons and stuff. So it's just a little piece, a square of fur, and we put 1 or 2 drops of each scent on each fragrance. We put them on there on Thursday, and they still smelled very strongly by Sunday night, which was interesting to find out, since we put way more than 2 drops of fragrance in each of our fursuit sprays. So the smell does last, which is nice. I'm also excited because we just got in our 4th of July and our woodland packs, as they call them. We just buy them because they have good smells, and it's cheaper to buy the packs than it is to buy the individual fragrances. Which ultimately saves everybody else money, because then we don't have to charge $20 for a bottle of fursuit spray. So this one came with strawberry shortcake, which smells so good. It smells like those strawberry lip glosses and stuff that you would, like, they had as a kid, and I would eat them, and they did not taste as good as they smelled usually. But, you know, I still ate them because I was like 5. Watermelon's a pretty good one. Cola smells exactly like some soda. Like, it's pop. Campfire. I don't like opening Campfire because that's how strong it is. It smells straight up like smoke. It's not a bad smell, but I'm not a fan of Campfire smell. But if you like it, it is a very, very good smell. Very strong. We also have s'mores and red cherry. Red cherry is... Oh, what is it like? Because, like, it smells... Oh, I'm going to open it and smell. You want to smell it too, Forrest? You want to sniff? You want to sniff? Yeah. He doesn't like red cherry. Red cherry smells... It smells like grenadine. It smells exactly like the cherry syrup that they put in cherry coke. Like, at restaurants. It is so good. So if you like cherry scent, the sweet cherry smell, that's a really good one. I'm a big fan of that one. And then we have our woodland pack. We just got these in like 2 days ago because I was very excited. I am a little sad. Oh, thank you for the stream check-in, Quinn. I am a little sad that there's no real pine in here. They do have a pine fragrance, but for some reason it's not in the woodland pack. Like, I don't know it. You like this one. He's a big fan of the woodsy smells. He likes pine and stuff. What's in your hair? You gotta scrub it in your hair. Hold on. You got a rock in your hair. What the fuck? So we do have evergreen forest. This is the closest we have to a pine scent. It smells like trees. It smells like evergreen forest. Do you want to smell? Yeah, you like smelling. We also have mountain air, which smells pretty good. Moss does, in fact, smell like damp moss. Like, it just smells like moss. Redwood forest smells pretty good. Warm rustic woods kind of just smells like walking into the lumber section at Home Depot. Like, it's a little bit more... What does it smell like, Forest? I don't know. Maybe it's the redwood forest. This one. Oh, no, I lied. This one does not smell like the lumber section of Home Depot. It's cedar. The cedar fragrance. That is the lumber section at Home Depot. So if you like the way the wood section at Home Depot smells, cedar is also a good one. But the nice thing is you can combine any of these. So you can pick up to 3 different fragrances out of any of these packs, and we could have one that's like lemon, cedar, and red cola or some shit, you know? And we'll mix them all into it, and you can get your own custom named fragrance. It's dope. So we do have these for free pickup at MCFC for anyone who is going and interested. But you do have to order them before the con. We will not have them available at our Artist Alley table, unfortunately, this year.
Yeah, but maybe next year. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Apparently, we need to go outside. And it's been a while. So I'm going to pick a raid, and I think we'll call it good for today. And then I will hopefully see everybody again tomorrow, maybe, if I end up drawing or something. It really depends on vibes. Because I'm not really sure if I'll have energy to stream tomorrow or not. But let's go pop over to our friend Naoma, because they are streaming. I believe they are drawing today, it looks like. So we're going to pop over there, and we're going to see what they're up to. And I will hopefully see everybody tomorrow, mayhapses. So yeah. Bye, peoples.